Join us and help us continue to support the many talented people of our community. Learn how to get your business highlighted on La Crosse Local. Go to lacrosselocal.com and click on Advertise. The Pump House Regional Arts Center offers theatrical performances in partnership with Gray Area Productions. Local, talented artists producing thought-provoking and transformative theater with compelling stories and complex characters. Check out the calendar of performances and pick up your tickets at thepumphouse.org. Drive, walk, or take a carriage ride through Riverside Park for Rotary Lights. Over 3 million lights sparkling on the Mississippi now through New Year's Eve. A stunning holiday light show with a mission to feed the hungry. Admission is free, but a cash or food donation is appreciated. Visit rotarylights.org to learn more. Join us at the La Crosse Winter Roots Festival, Saturday, February 11th at the La Crosse Center. We'll celebrate Wisconsin favorites in music, cuisine, local beer, and spirits. Grab tickets at lacrosselocal.com. We chatted with Ryan of the band Ryan Necci and the Buffalo Gospel. We talk about his intro to music and get into what led to his transition from jam band to alternative country. We also discuss the band's prolific song postings and performances on social media and what to expect from their live shows. Check out Ryan Necci and the Buffalo Gospel live during the La Crosse Winter Roots Festival on February 11th at the La Crosse Center. You can find more conversations, food reviews, weekend picks, live music, and events on our website, lacrosselocal.com. I'm Amy.
And I'm Brent.
And this is La Crosse Local.
Well, I can be a fox in the tall grass, stubborn as a big old steer, tough like a 10-pound tomcat, and quiet as a white-tailed deer. But I fly up high in the thin air, I see it all crystal clear. Everybody gotta be somewhere, and I can tell you ain't from around here. Well, self-respect, right or two, higher than hell, now tried and true. Never gonna fly where the others do. You can find me out here where the buzzards rule.
My name's Ryan Necci. I have a band called Ryan Necci and the Buffalo Gospel. I was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Spent the majority of my life there. Music was always a part of our life. My dad had a pretty gigantic record collection. You know, those kind of fuels some of my earliest memories. Townes Van Zandt and Emmylou Harris and John Prine and a lot of Bob Dylan, the Beatles. He has pretty good taste. So that's what, you know, when you're a kid, you don't necessarily want to listen to what your folks are listening to, but I had no choice because it was his record player and that stuff sort of seeped into me, you know? But yeah, music, as far as like playing music, I think like a lot of people when I was a kid thought that being in a band was a pretty glamorous future. And so got a little drum set from my parents and started playing around in a few cover bands with friends. And that led to my first serious band in late high school and college was called Fat Ma Rooney. It was a jam band, kind of an Allman Brothers sort of rock jam situation. And I was playing percussion and singing a lot in that band and realized that we needed to write some original songs. And so that's when I picked up the guitar and put it in an open tuning and and started writing some songs. And that's kind of how that journey started and led me to what I'm doing today.
Kind of speaking about, you know, that transition from Fat Ma Rooney, which I've always heard about it being from La Crosse. Yeah. There's various bands been around, but I never actually saw Fat Ma Rooney play.
Yeah.
But going from that to Buffalo Gospel, you know, it seems like a big transition in some sense. I mean, what led to that sort of transition to, I don't know if it's alternative country is what I'm kind of hearing, or you know, to me, it's like you guys fall into the same category as like Sturgill Simpson, Colter Wall, Jason Isabel, more sort of things, like a little bit more, I guess, emotive.
Sure.
How did that transition happen between those two?
I would say this kind of music, the alternative country, I don't know how else to describe it either. And those are some big names. I really appreciate you including us with those names. But yeah, I think this has always been the kind of music that I've listened to and that I've gravitated towards. I've always been more of a singer-songwriter guy. The jam band thing, I love that music. I love the Grateful Dead, and I really enjoy Fish and all that kind of stuff. I think it was more, that's the band we're in. And there were five guys that had pretty strong but pretty eclectic musical tastes. And it was never going to be a traditional, there was never going to be a traditional genre that we were playing. We had, jazz guys and classical guys. And so that's just sort of where we all landed. And I enjoyed it. It definitely, I learned how to tour, and I learned how to sleep on floors, and I learned what not to do on the road when I was young enough to recover from it. So yeah. And then now this is sort of more my project where I get to sort of lead the ship. And this is just kind of naturally where it went, because I think this is naturally what my influences have been all along,
Vocal wise, was that something you kind of developed as you came along, or is it something where you're always naturally a singer, or was it something you just tried one day?
Honestly, it was something I tried one day. I was in a cover band. What was it called in college? Called the Boon. And we just, it was Tom Petty songs and the lowest hanging fruit, basically. And it was a great band, bunch of great guys, but we were just going out to have fun and playing bars and whatever. And there was a point where I think it was after a set break, and somebody was like, "Hey, Ryan, do you want to sing a song or two?" kind of as a joke. And I was like, "I guess," and got up there and found that I really enjoyed it. And by no means was I that good right off the bat, but it just felt like kind of a natural extension of what I was trying to do. And I'm not a great guitar player, so I have to be okay at one or the other, I think. So I started pushing the singing, and yeah, I really enjoy it, and it allows me to do some of the things I've always wanted to do on stage.
A number of years ago, I can't actually remember because COVID kind of throws me off, but we heard about a house show. I knew the relationship from Fat Ma Rooney. You were actually playing in a barn, I believe, up in Minnesota here near La Crosse. So we, me and my wife grabbed tickets. I think we listened to a few songs before we went. It was kind of unexpected, starting out. I think you started with like the song Mule.
And this town's a lesson in lonesome in love. I've had a hell of a life, but I've had enough.
Oh, sure.
Like I said, it's kind of mournful in essence. We didn't know what we were kind of getting into. Where do you pull writing these songs? We were kind of anticipating some sort of country bluegrass thing that's just popular on the cross, and then it was a real experience, but also like there's a lot of feelings going around the room.
Sure. Yeah, and I definitely appreciate that. We love to try and find that balance between, like, I like playing a fast bluegrass song and stomping too and dancing, and we can do that stuff. We enjoy doing that stuff. We have some of those songs, but I try and write from a truthful place. I try and write what I know. And for a long time, knock on wood, things are better now, but I was in more gutters than strikes in my life. And that's where a lot of the songs were coming from. I had a marriage fall apart. The guy that I started this band with, a real close friend of mine, passed away around the same time. There was a few years there that were really rough. And that's where some of those songs came from. I try and write in a way where it's not necessarily I, and I'm just talking about how sad my life is. I find a lot of comfort in people's songs, you know what I mean? Where I can live inside those songs and I can feel a little bit less alone, knowing that somebody else has gone through those experiences or similar ones. And so that's the goal when I'm writing, is to try and put something out that other people can find a little bit of comfort in. And a lot of times those songs end up being the sad ones. We're all going through it, especially over the last few years. And that's the hope, is that some people can find a little bit of comfort in what we're doing.
Kind of jumping into your band a little bit more, you're going to be at La Crosse Winter Roots Festival, which we're super pumped about. When your name,
me too.
Your name and band came up. Just recently digging into a lot of your music, you see a number of shorts and performances on Instagram and YouTube now from you guys. It seems like you're pumping stuff out a lot. Have you found these platforms, easy to get the word out about you, or even in some ways try to work things out? Like, have you ever put something that you're just working on those pieces?
Yeah, I'm guessing that most musicians have kind of a love-hate thing with the social media. These platforms have allowed us to get into especially not being able to tour, they've allowed us to get into the ears of a lot of people that we wouldn't normally be able to. So I will never speak ill of it. It's not what you get into music to start doing. You know what I mean? You want to write songs and you want to play shows and you want to connect. Especially on Instagram and YouTube, we've started getting a lot more people that were not aware of us before because we've been posting these shorts. And yeah, we do. I like to post things that aren't necessarily out and available and get kind of a response from people. The drawback there is if somebody's really into something or if something really catches, we kind of had this problem. It's a good problem, I guess, but like everyone's like, why isn't this on Spotify? Why isn't this available to stream? And we're like, well, that costs money and it takes time. We can't just put it up right away. So, but yeah, since we've kind of doubled down over COVID and started posting a lot more consistently, the response has been pretty mind blowing. And it just feels good that people are starting to hear it. That's been the goal all along. And if this is how we get to people's ears, then who am I to talk down about it?
I think you've come across my feed, just the nature of the algorithm, but even just like on, you're on TikTok, you're on Instagram, you're on all the things.
Yep.
Uh,
for better or worse.
For better or worse. I mean, I think it's, there's a lot of bands though, I feel like that I found to be within 90 miles of me.
Yep.
Those are some of my favorite bands. Bands like Dury, who I got to interview, played here recently. They're out of Minneapolis. They just blew up with a TikTok song, which was just a short. This might just be an aside, but it just kind of fits into, the platform, but further sort of relationships develop from that where you have more of a personal experience. And I think some COVID kind of helped with that, like it or not,
yeah,
but it, kind
absolutely.
of allows yourself to kind of get more one-on-one with those individuals and those artists you like in some capacity.
For sure. It's been really great to, we get a lot of very nice messages and comments, and we try and stay on top of as many of them as we can. But just, a guy from Scotland sent me a message this morning and said, hey, found your song, love it, going to tell everybody I know. And
yeah,
like the idea that I can't even wrap my brain around that concept that somebody on the other side of the world is listening to our music, much less somebody down the street, So we've been very lucky that whatever these algorithms are have played nice with us up to this point. We'll take whatever we can get, man. However we can connect and however we can get our music in these people's ears, we're just lucky. That's all.
So speaking of that, another way to get music in people's ears, you're going to be playing La Crosse Winter Roots Festival on February 11th.
True.
I guess I saw you about 6 years ago. What can people expect from shows now when they come see you?
We'll be bringing the whole band. The lineup was changing a lot back then, and it was more like whoever I could get that was available, because a lot of the people we play with they're very talented musicians and they're in multiple bands. And I think that's just kind of the nature of the beast too, where we just sort of had a revolving lineup. And for the last few years, we've had the same 5 folks: Haley Rydell, myself, Kevin Rao, Nick Lang, and Andrew Koenig. That kind of makes up the core of the band. So we've been able to get, having that consistent lineup. I think we've been able to get a lot tighter. I think we've been able to explore some songs and push them into places that they haven't been. We just released an EP this year called the Battle Cry EP that's got a bunch of new songs on it that we'll be playing a handful of those. Just spending time with the people that you're playing music with, it really makes a difference, believe it or not.
So is there anything else, something quick that's coming up for you that you're pumped about or anything? Or
man, we're playing some dates with this band next week. We're actually going out on the road and playing some dates with a band called Chapel Heart. They're making a lot of waves in the country world, and we're playing in Virginia and South Carolina with them. We weren't really expecting on going back out on the road this year, and those dates came up, and we were just thrilled to be able to work with such a great band. So that's exciting. We just recut an old song called If I Was the Last Man off our first record. That's one of those that you'd mentioned we posted a video of, and it kind of blew up, and we got a lot of people asking for sort of an updated version. So we said, why not go back in, and it had been 10 years or something like that. Why not go back in and take another crack at it? And and we're getting a lot of good feedback about that. But other than that, just writing and piling up new songs. We got a ton of new stuff, and getting excited about maybe getting into a studio and starting to think about what the next project looks like.
It looks like pretty much, like you said, we've already kind of discussed where people can find you, but it looks like people can check out everything at buffalogospel.com.
Yep.
You're active on all the things.
Yeah, I would say if people were going to pick one social media platform, Instagram's the one where we're really kind of staying the most engaged. Like you said, we're on pretty much everything. Buffalogospel.com is a great place to start. And yeah, follow us anywhere you're streaming music. And really, I think that's one of those things that I certainly didn't understand until we got more into the social media world, how much every single little engagement makes a difference these days. Those numbers, they drive everything. They drive what booking agents are seeing. They drive, the algorithms that are replaying your videos and things like that. So if people want to help out any band that they love, like, comment, share, add to playlists, every little action registers, even when it doesn't feel like much. And when a handful of people start doing that, it can really make a difference for a band. So that's my PSA about social media.
Lacrosse Local Podcast is a production of River Travel Media. Do you have an interview idea you'd like to share with us? Message us on Facebook at Lacrosse Local. Find out more about us at lacrosselocal.com, and you can subscribe to the Lacrosse Local Podcast on your favorite podcast app. If you like us, rate us 5 stars. We appreciate it.